We are having a second cup of coffee this morning with the superintendent of the Sulphur Springs ISD, Dr. Deanna Steeber, and we are joined by Sulphur Springs ISD financial advisor Lucas Janda, who's going to join in the conversation with us this morning. So welcome to you both.
Thank you.
Of course, the thing that's on everybody's mind is the bond election, which is coming up, and I'm sure that's what everybody wants to talk to you about everywhere you go. And that will be May 4th, $157 million bond election. I'll just say first that following your Facebook page, if we didn't have a bond election, there's some other things we would be talking about.
Yes.
So you've had a lot of successes lately.
We have.
UIL one-act play.
Yes.
Blue Blazes had a great showing here recently. I'm going to forget some things. Business professional kids, powerlifting state championship, on and on. Soccer, girls and boys have done great. I'm going to leave some things out. But it's good when you have a bond election coming to have those kinds of successes,
Yes,
isn't it?
It's very nice to see our kids, being successful, and our staff being successful. Yes.
Yeah. So those things speak well for the Sulphur Springs ISD. Okay, we have Lucas here. In particular, to talk about one aspect that you mentioned comes up a lot, and that is the quarter-cent tax increase that would go with this. And am I correct that some people are skeptical about that?
Just curious.
Curious.
How are you able to get $157 million for just a fourth of 1 penny tax increase?
Sounds almost too good to be
Right.
true.
Yes.
so that makes people wonder what that's about. So Lucas, explain that.
Well, look at it from a personal, life perspective. All of us may have a mortgage. Maybe we've got vehicle notes, things like that. But then at some stage, maybe we're looking to acquire 100 acres and have a ranch, in addition, or maybe it's a vacation house or some additional, property in that regard. So the question becomes, obviously, on our personal level, how do we afford that? And it's really no different than the school side of it. The personal side, if you actually have more revenues coming in, more income, then you have obviously expenses going out. You've got obviously a surplus to work with that may give you the ability to take on additional debt without impacting your bottom line. Same applies to the school district. Right now, the district is running a very significant surplus on the mortgage side of the house, giving them the ability to actually pay off bonds early. This summer, back in August, the district paid off $6 million in bonds early, saving interest for future taxpayers in that regard. Same concept obviously applies with additional debt. Instead of paying off some of the additional bonds early now we can take on additional debt in that regard. And so it's really a matter of income versus expenses, and the district has a surplus to work with that gives us the ability, with where values have went the last several years, to leverage that to take on additional debt with a very minimal increase on the tax rate.
Can you characterize the surplus? Can you say, how large is the surplus, or is that a simplistic question?
So it depends on each year, depending on what your values do.
Right.
And each year, obviously, it may grow. And right now, we have seen the last several years that surplus continues to grow and give us the ability to pay off more and more bonds early. And, there's a silver lining, and maybe the last couple elections failing, is we've been able to pay off additional bonds early each year, which has enhanced the district's capacity moving forward.
Mm-hmm. And I've talked with Dr. Steeber about before, and I don't suppose this is directly related, or that it's exactly the same thing, but the fact that you have the homestead exemption that was approved by voters last year, that's at least helpful, is it not? I mean, in terms of the effect on taxpayers.
Absolutely. And that's the homestead exemption is a huge positive, but look at what the tax rate has also done since 2018. The district's seen 36 cents of the tax rate come off in that same period of time. Between obviously other properties that are not homesteaded, commercial, industrial, apartments, properties that don't have a homestead exemption benefit, they've benefited from a lower tax rate over the last several years, to where ideally they're probably paying less in taxes now than they were a few years ago.
The tax rate actually over the past several years has come down?
Correct, from $1.35, I believe, to 99 cents.
That's pretty good.
It is.
I mean, from the standpoint of the average taxpayer, that's, and I don't know if everyone, is mindful of that. As time goes by, you tend to forget what happened last year,
Sure.
2-3 years ago.
But also the over 65 saw a huge benefit
Yes.
with frozen taxes, that the state did a retroactive look at their taxes to say, hey, we want y'all to get the benefit of not just this homestead exemption change, but the prior one that they forgot to include them in. And so they had the opportunity to see a lower amount of taxes owed, and in some cases, no longer owing school taxes.
Now, the homestead exemption, does that apply only to people 65 and up, or is it others as well?
No, so it's anybody that has a homestead,
Okay.
but you can only claim it as your primary. So if you do have 2 or more residences, only one residence in the state of Texas can be
I see.
utilized for your homestead
Okay.
exemption.
Okay. We're going to run out of time here before we know it, and not have talked with Dr. Steeber. But you've had some town halls,
Yeah.
and I wonder what you're hearing from people in the town hall meetings.
So far, it's been a lot of positive. We certainly have some that come with questions, just looking for clarification. But we've had three town halls, and we've had a pretty good turnout. So we're pleased with that.
So people obviously are interested and engaged.
Yes. We have a combined of 21 presentations, bond presentations, either through 3 town halls, but the rest of the meetings have been just presenting to individual groups, whether it be service organizations or clubs or businesses, just people who've reached out or we've reached out to them to see if they would be willing or interested in a presentation.
So early voting then starts April 22nd.
Early voting runs April 22nd through April the 30th, and then Election Day is actually on May 4th. And so the district partners with the county on elections, and there is not a county election in May, so all of the voting, early voting and the actual voting day will happen at the Sulphur Springs ISD Administration Building.
All voting takes place at the administration
Yes.
building. Okay, great. So again, the election day is Saturday, May 4th. That's the official election day, but I'm sure a lot of people will vote early. That seems to be the trend. So we are out of time, but we will have another occasion to visit with you before then. So we have other things to talk about.
Yes.
Great. All
Looking
right.
forward to it.
Good. Dr. Deanna Steeber is the superintendent of the Sulphur Springs ISD, and Lucas Janda is Sulphur Springs ISD financial advisor. Thanks.
Thank you.
I'm John Mark Dempsey. This is KSST.